Welcome back to Wholesale Automatics. I'm Greg. On this lovely winter's day, you can see I've got my winter wool on. Today we're going to be fitting a combination cooler into the GU. This is Series 4. It's a combination cooler because at the front, we've got the cooler for the transmission itself, and at the rear, we've got the cooler for the power steering. We delete the power steering cooler bar off to obviously make room for the cooler itself. So let's get into it. All right, first thing we've got to do is pull the grill off. We've got 4 clips across the top here and 2 inner clips in about this position on the inside, either side, and 1 in the middle. So I'll go ahead and do that first. Okay, now we release the 2 tabs either side, 1 in the middle. Okay. Next thing we need to do is remove the headlight. To do that, we've got to take the parker out first. Now these are just simply held on by that Phillips head there, and 2 tabs here, and 1 down, 1 here. Now that we've got that off, gives us access to the 2 M6 bolts here, and then there's another one around here. But before we remove those, we'll go up in the air because this trim here has to be removed along the bottom of the headlight, and there's 2 M6 bolts that go up into the headlight housing itself. So we'll go up in the air and do that. We'll remove these 2 M6 bolts here to get the trim off. Okay, now we've got the headlight unbolted, just remove the main connector, and we'll put it to one side. Okay, our next step is to remove the power steering cooler bars, which is these here. Come along here, hose tucks in behind the rad support panel, and to get to the connectors on the other side here, we'll have to remove the airbox. Now, some of the GUs, some of the series GUs, you don't have to remove the airbox. This particular one you do, so we'll go ahead and do that. It's not the easiest airbox to remove, but it's a necessary evil. If you look down here, you can see the 2 hoses we've got to disconnect. So I'll go ahead and start removing the power steering cooler. Okay, the first ones we undo is these ones here, there, and along here. Then we can lay the cooler over, then we can remove this bracket here, and this bracket here, because we don't really need them anymore. Just put them to one side, it's the cooler. We'll go ahead and do that. Okay, before we remove those 2 hoses, I'll just like stuff a few rags up underneath because it does get a bit messy. You will lose a little bit of fluid, so power steering fluid, so You'll have to top that up later. We're also adding the cooler, so I'll just get that down underneath. Okay, now that we've got the power steering cooler removed, we'll take our 3/8 hose that's supplied, and we'll just plumb those up to the fittings behind the rad support panel without cutting it as yet. Now we'll just secure the hose using the hose clamps we supply in the kit. We'll have a bit of a clean up, just using a bit of degreaser. Just your cheap degreaser from wherever, good enough. Before we put it all back together, it's a lot easier to do it now than it is later. Okay, now that we've got our lines plumbed up there, we can reinstall our airbox and our headlight, and then we'll go along with fitting the rest of the kit. Okay, don't forget to refit the 2 screws that hold your trim on. Okay, finally fit. We've got our park light refitted. Okay, next we've got to remove these 2 bolts here. Okay, we've got to remove this hose, which our cooler goes here, and the other end, that's the return line. But to do that, we've got to remove the driver's side headlight now. Okay, now we'll remove the hose, eh? Okay, with the hose, the 5/16 hose fitted to the bottom barb, we can now fit our bracket. Okay, we've got that generally in place. And we'll cut down our hose. Trim the conduit back. Okay, the hose that runs from the bottom barb on the cooler goes up to the battery cooler up here. And we can mount our cooler into place. So now we'll fit the bottom bolts in. So we'll go up in the air. Okay, now this is the Series 3, this particular one. We also, for the Series 3, we also supply you with the long nut, because if you look over here, without the long nut to extend it out here, our cooler lines for the power steering cooler will hit on the rad support upright. So we'll fit this to space it out, and that'll give it plenty of clearance for the cooler hose for the power steering. All right, we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, that's done. Okay, the 2 bolts that you pull out at the bottom and replace with the bolts we supply you with, keep one of those because it's for holding up the top out. As you can see now, we've got plenty of clearance for the hose. Without the long nut, would have been hard up against here. Okay, we'll finish putting on our hose for the return line. So I've cut from the first part, so we'll trim that. Now we'll put our headlight assembly back in. Okay, the last thing to do is now to plumb up the rest of the power steering hoses. So we'll roughly measure those out by hand and trim. We always give you plenty of hose to play with if you want to go around other brackets and whatnot. We always give you plenty of cable ties too, so you can secure the hose. Okay, now that we've got the hoses all secure, we can refit the grill and top up our fluids. Okay, now that it's all back together, all we need to do is top up our power steering fluid and the transmission fluid. So we'll do that. I know the cooler itself takes about 400 mil, short bit of line. So 500 mil should sort out the transmission, whether or not it's low anyway, but we'll double check that. And we'll get the power steering right. So I'll just put some fluid in the power steering, just so I can visually see it. We didn't lose that much. Pull the dipstick out, we'll put 500 mil in, start the motor up, see how we're going. A good tip is once you put some fluid into the transmission, give it a moment or two, because you get before you put the dipstick in, because what will happen, you'll get where the fluid's gone down the tube, you'll get wash onto the dipstick and will give you a false reading. So it's good to be patient, just wait a couple of minutes. Whilst you're waiting, you can recheck your power steering fluid. Once you've topped up your power steering fluid, it's always good to go lock to lock, just get any air out of the system. If you broke into it, and we've added extra volume with the cooler. It's feeling pretty good. Once you've re-topped up the power steering fluid, it's a good idea to go for a bit of a run, let it settle, because after cycling lock to lock with air in it, you'll get aeration of the fluid, and therefore it'll give you a false reading. So go for a bit of a drive, let it settle down, recheck it. You'll probably have to put another 50, maybe 100 mil at the most in. Okay, we're right on the cold level there. As I said before, we'll give it a bit of a run and recheck the power steering fluid and also the transmission fluid. Make sure our levels are right at hot temperatures, or operating temperatures if you like, and we're done. That completes our installation of a combination kit for the Series 3 GU Patrol. You'll find in the kit that is the kits are for Series 2, 3 and 1, but different components, so you'll have bits and pieces left over. But that's it. That's us done. See you next time in Wholesale Automatics.